නමාමි බුද්ධං ගුණසාගරන්තං සන්තා සදා හොන්තු සුඛී අවේරා කායෝ ජිගුංචෝ සකලෝ දුගන්ධෝ ගච්ඡන්ති සම්බේ මරණං අහංච නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the supremely enlightened one, the most venerable Mahasangha, nuns, friends in the Dhamma. Today, our 7th day of our monastic retreat 2023, conducted by the Bhavana Society. In this discussion, we hope to discuss one of the topics that relate to our monastic monks and nuns, that the role of monks. As monks and nuns, not only that, as the four groups, Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasaka, Upasika, all of them belong to the Sangha. As these four groups, what we should do, what is our duty, what is our role, we are going to understand it in this discussion. Here we specially discuss the Sobhenti Sutta, which comes in Anguttara Nikaya. Here the Supreme Buddha says, Bhikkhu bhikkhave vyatto vinito visarado bahussuto dhammadaro dhammanudhamma patipanno sanghang sobheti. A bhikkhu who is competent, disciplined, self-confident, learned well, and expert on the Dhamma, practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, adorns the Sangha. He beautifies the Sangha. If a person has these qualities, he is able to beautify the Sangha. It means he is a decoration to the Sangha. Here there are 6 qualities we can see. Our value depends on our qualities, our human values. That is why sometimes we can say a very special sentence in Sinhala, ඔබට ගරු කරන්න මට ඉඩ දෙන්න. Please give me a chance to respect you. Please allow me to respect you. Always we should think it. When we speak something, when we do something, a lot of people are looking at us. Sometimes they get some examples from us, no matter whether our behavior good or bad. In this situation, our behavior is very important. When we go to the Dhamma, when we practice Dhamma, the main thing that happens, our vision gradually changes into the correct way. It says Sammaditthi, right understanding. With the level of Sammaditthi, our all behaviors, speech and behavior develop. That is the nature of our spiritual path. When we have Sammaditthi, then we have right intention. As soon as right intention turns to correct way, we can say right speech. Right speech is one of the signs that a person is going on the path of liberation. before our action is going to the correct way, before it goes to the correct way, we can see a very vast difference in our speech. That is very important. Sakachaya panya tabbo. A person's wisdom can be seen via his speech. Here, speech says that how much he is wise. That is very important. And also, especially as a person who is in a spiritual path, would always encourage us to maintain our speech. Dhammeva katha ariyova tunhi bhavo. If we speak, it should be a righteous speech. If not, it should be a noble silent. Dhammeva katha ariyova tunhi bhavo. We should take care of our speech. That is very important. It is one of the signs that we practice mindfulness. But always encourage us to discipline our speech and behavior. That is why he tells to Bhante Rahula. Rahula, when you speak, think it again and again whether it is correct. Paccavekitva vachaya kammam kadabbam. When you speak something, you should reflect on it again and again whether it is correct. Not only that, when you do something, you should reflect on it again and again whether it is correct. This is the nature of our sila. Sila is one of the qualities of a person who is in the spiritual path. In this discourse, Sobhenti Sutta, Buddha explains 6 qualities that a monastic person has. Vyatto. Vyatta means competent. And Vinito, he has good discipline in his speech and behavior. Visarado, he has self-confidence about his knowledge and practice. And Bahusuto, he has heard a lot of things. He has good education, educated. And Dhammadaro, memorized. He has memorized a lot of things what the Buddha has explained. Dhammanu Dhamma Patipanno, he lives according to the Dhamma, practice. These are the main qualities that we can see in a spiritual life. If a person has these 6 qualities, he beautifies the sasana. That is very important. Vyatto. Vyatta means we learn this message again and again. As the result of studying, we are competent. And also as the result of this understanding, we have our self-discipline. In Sanskrit history it says, Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge gives discipline. Vidya dadati vinayam. And Visarada, we have no fear or doubt when we face any society, because we have clear understanding about the path. If a person asks a question about any place, we can explain it. And Bahusuto, in the previous time, the education completely depended on hearing. If a person has heard a lot of things, it means he is a Bahusuta person, educated person. And Dhammadaro, especially as monks, we have to memorize some special teachings in Buddhism, such as Four Noble Truths, Paticca or dependent origination, 3 characteristics, the Noble Eightfold Path, These are the very important topics in Buddhism. We have to memorize some special sentences and references uttered by the Blessed One. And as the result of this path, the very first thing is we go forward by practicing Dhamma. First, we get the results. The more we understand the Dhamma, the more we are confident in what the Buddha taught. When we are confident in what the Buddha taught, our inner courage gradually increases. We have an intention to go forward on this path. And also when we practice this path, little by little, we are able to reduce negative thoughts from our mind. In the very first level, we reduce abhijja, vyapada, greed and ill will. When we reduce these negativities, our mind is so pure and calm. Then we go forward. We reduce 5 hindrances: sensual pleasure, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, skeptical doubts. These are the hindrances we control when we go on this path. As a result of reducing these negative thoughts, we purify our mind and also we are happy. The more we purify our mind, the more we are happier. And also we can see the results of the Dhamma, sanditthiko akaliko. Visible results immediately effective. We can see it. Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One. Adi Kalyanam, Madhye Kalyanam, Pariyosane Kalyanam. Buddha explained the Dhamma, which is excellent in the beginning, excellent in the middle, excellent in the end. What is the beginning? Beginning is sila or virtue. What is the middle? Middle is concentration. What is the end? End is panya or wisdom. We can see these 3 stages of the Dhamma. Here, sila or virtue is the foundation. Having this foundation, using samatha meditation objects, we concentrate our mind. When mind gains concentration, we reflect on the world reality, anicca dukkha anatta, impermanence, dissatisfactoriness and selflessness as it is. As the result of practicing this path, day by day, we develop our inner peace, spiritual happiness. Having this result, we go to the society to help them with our spiritual life. Then we can see main things, main duties that we do as a disciple. The very first thing is learning Dhamma. Next, practicing Dhamma. And spreading or propagating Dhamma. And finally, preserving or protecting Dhamma. The normal person, ordinary people, only they learn and practice. But especially as monks and nuns, our duty is that to protect this message and bring this sublime message from generation to generation. There is a very discourse we can say, Makadeva Sutta, not Makadeva Jataka. Makadeva Sutta, Buddha says, you should not be the last person in this dispensation. ඔබ මේ ශාසනයේ අවසාන කෙනා වෙන්න එපා. You should not be the last person in this dispensation. Why is that? What does Buddha say? In our lifetime, This dispensation should not be over, should not be finished or ended. We have a great duty to protect and giving this message to the next generation before we close our eyes. Before we close our eyes or die, we have a great duty to protect it and hand over this message to the next generation. That is also one of the duties that as monks and nuns we should perform. And when we go forward on this path, again Buddha says, Anyamanya vachanena, anyamanya vuttapanena. When we associate each other, we always should speak kindly, pleasantly, and also we should help each other. Anyamanya vachanena, anyamanya vuttapanena. Mutual discussion, no speech, and mutual uplifting. We always should speak with others with kind heart. And also, we should practice loving kindness to everyone. Not only they are in front of us, although they are not with us, we should have kind heart. Metta sagata kaya kamma, metta sagata vachi kamma, metta sagata mano kamma. We should associate with others with the metta thoughts, and speech consists with metta thoughts, behavior with metta thoughts. That is also very important in this path. And the very first thing is understanding our life. Buddha says very clearly that suffering comes to the person who is ignorant. Suffering never comes to the person who is wise. දුක එන්නේ අවිද්‍යාසහගත පුද්ගලයා කරාමයි. ප්‍රඥාවන්ත කෙනා වෙත දුක එන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. Suffering comes to the person who is ignorant. Suffering never comes to the person who is wise. Suffering, what is suffering? When the outside world changes, we are suffering. It means we are ignorant, we depend on outside. We don't know what is happening in our life. When we see something, when we hear something, because of our delusion, we think, I experience something which is happening at this moment. We can contact something, but when we understand it, the very first experience has ceased. We experience everything through our mind, mental formations, and through mind consciousness. If we can understand this reality, and also if we are immediately in mindfulness, we can overcome suffering which comes from outside world. And here, understanding the five aggregates is very, very important. Our entire life is that five aggregates. When we look at something, five aggregates arise here. Form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. When we see something, our eye and form belong to rupa or form. Feeling belongs to feeling aggregate. And consciousness, eye consciousness belongs to vijnana khanda. And their chetana belongs to sankhara khanda. And rupa sanya belongs to Sanya Khanda. Those things are in the very first experience, which is in the Vipaka level. That very first experience is neither pleasant nor unpleasant, that is neither wholesome nor unwholesome, that is neutral, that is just karma vipaka. If you are ignorant in this reality, it comes to our life as sakkaya or panchupadanakhanda. Sakkaya means we have taken it as me, as my, as myself. And also we have clinging to it. The clinging to five aggregates. That is the place where we create the suffering. If we want to overcome this suffering, we should know this process. Not only knowing the process, but immediately we should be in mindfulness. And then we immediately reflect on this reality. As a result of this practice, we can remove our mind from outside material world, we can overcome suffering. And the very first experience is dukkha satya. Clinging or craving is the second satya, samudaya satya. And overcoming this attachment is nirodha satya. Practicing sati, samadhi and panya, mindfulness, concentration and wisdom is the path, magga satya. As a person who follows the Buddha's message should be in this understanding. The very first satya, dukkha satyam parinyayam, the noble truth of suffering should be understood. Samudaya satyam pahatabam, the noble truth of the origin of suffering should be overcome. Nirodha satyam satyakatabam, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering should be realized or experienced. And magga satyam bhavetabam, the noble truth of the path that leads to getting rid of suffering should be practiced. Practice is explained in various ways according to the audience. Sometimes Buddha has explained you have to practice 37 enlightenment factors. Sometimes Buddha has explained you have to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. Sometimes Buddha says you have to practice 7 enlightenment factors. Sometimes Buddha says you should realize 6 internal senses. Sometimes Buddha says you have to practice 5 spiritual faculties. Sometimes Buddha says you have to practice 4-fold mindfulnesses. Sometimes Buddha says you have to practice 3 disciplines, 3 trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sometimes Buddha says you have to practice only 2 things, Samatha and Vipassana, concentration and wisdom. Sometimes Buddha explains you have to practice only 1 thing, Panya, wisdom, reflecting on impermanence. If you are a gifted person, you have to practice only 1 thing, which is wisdom, reflecting on impermanence of your all experiences that you receive through your 6 senses. Eye is impermanent, forms are impermanent, ear is impermanent, sounds are impermanent, nose is impermanent, smell is impermanent, tongue is impermanent, taste is impermanent, body is impermanent, feeling is impermanent, mind is impermanent, mental formations are impermanent. Again and again we reflect on these senses and external objects. As the result of practicing this reality again and again, when we see something, when we hear something, When we smell something, we know immediately, now I understand something form has already ceased. When we understand the world, the material world is empty. Sunyato lokang avikhasu. We see the world as an empty village. When we eat something, when we taste something, the food is not in the plate. Food is here, in mouth. When we see something, the very first experience has ceased. When you drive, you are in back. Before you were here. Now you are here. But before we saw it. So this is the reality whether we like or not. Whether we know or not. This is the place where we should be skillful. And having these skills, this is the real skill as a monastic should have. Sakko. At the beginning of Karanimetta Sutta, Buddha says, he who wishes to peace of mind or Nibbana, Sakko. This is the skillfulness or proficiency that we should develop. Everywhere we should be skillful. And having these skills, we always practice mindfulness, having the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. When we go forward with this path, we always give the priority to our spiritual life. Even though we have a lot of things in our day-to-day life, always we give the priority to our practice. Our highest practice is that living in mindfulness. For that we have to listen in Dhamma again and again. We have to associate good friends, listening to Dhamma, wise consideration and practice. These four things should be developed from the beginning to end of our spiritual life. Kalyanamitta Asraya, Dhamma Savana, Yoniso Manisakara, and Dhamma Patipanna. Associating good friends, listening to Dhamma, wise consideration, and practice. Here, associating good friendship plays a very big role. Kalyana Mittata, Kalyana Sahayata, Kalyana Sampavankata. Kalyana Mitta or associating good friends has 3 stages. Kalyana Mitta Asraya can be divided into 2. One of them is Kalyana Mittata. We should have a Kalyana Mitta. We usually receive it as the result of our previous good merits and wishes. When we receive the good friendship, we should be wise to understand this is the real friendship. If we are ignorant to understand this reality, actually everything that we receive is useless. Here we should be wise. We should be wise to understand the real friendship. And also, not only we recognize them, but Kalyana Sahayata, we should make them friendly. That is also very important. Sometimes we receive Kalyana Mitta, we don't have an ability to or skill to make them friendly. Then we are failed. We failed. That is why we should be wise and we should have social skills, communication skills here. That is Kalyana Sahayata. Not only that, Kalyana Sampawankata. We should bend to them, we should lean to them, we should pay our attention what they say. That is also very important. Kalyana Mittata, Kalyana Sahayata, Kalyana Sampavankata. Having good friends, associating with them, and lending to them, paying our attention to them. These three stages are very important in the good association. But mostly we have the first one, but we are not clever to make other two things. Having this spiritual friendship, Buddha says, this dispensation completely depends on the noble association. One day, Bhante Ananda says, Ananda tells something to the Buddha. Bhante, I understand something. Half of the dispensation of the Buddha depends on Kalyana Mittata. Buddha says, Mahevanananda, Sakala Mevidam Brahmacharyang Yadidam Kalyana Mittata Kalyana Sahayata. Ananda, don't say like that. Don't tell it. It is not correct. Entire sasana dispensation, our entire spiritual progress or development depends on associating good friends. That is very important. Having these qualities, we should go to the deeper level in the Dhamma. When we understand the Buddha Sasana, there is a very special discourse named Paharada Sutta which comes in Anguttara Nikaya in Sattaka Nipata. There are 7 qualities that we can see in this Sasana. One of them is Buddha's message or this Sasana deepens gradually, like the ocean deepens gradually from the beach to the deeper water. This Sasana dispensation deepens gradually. That is why anyone can come to the Sasana and practice it as much as they are wise and they have effort. And also, water in the ocean has only one taste, which is Lonarasa, salt taste. This entire Dhamma or Sasana has only one taste, which is the taste of liberation, Vimukti Rasa. So on. There are 7 characteristics or qualities that we can see of the Buddha Sasana. And when a monk practices Dhamma, as the result of this understanding and practice, his vision gradually goes to the direct path. What is the direct path? The Noble Eightfold Path. That is why we say, monks, Supatipanno, Ujupatipanno, Nyayapatipanno, Swamiji Patipanno. Ujupatipanna, Ujuko nama somaggo, Abhihanama sadhisa. Monks practice always the Noble Eightfold Path. They maintain their entire life in the Noble Eightfold Path. As the result of this path, he is a virtuous person. And also monks and nuns, they are the supreme field of merits for the world. Their entire life is a supreme blessing for others. Samananja dassanam, etam mangalamuttamam. Saying a monk is a supreme blessing. Dhanancha dhammacharya chetam mangalamuttamam. Practicing generosity for them is a supreme blessing. Dhammacharya, practicing Dhamma near them is a supreme blessing. Kalena Dhamma Savanam, listening to Dhamma, what they explain is a supreme blessing. Kalena Dhamma Sakhacha, discussing Dhamma with them is a supreme blessing. Arya Satchana Dasanang Etam Mangalamuttamang, understanding the Four Noble Truths through the Dhamma, what they explain is a supreme blessing. Finally, Nibbana Satchikiryacha Etam Mangalamuttamang, attaining enlightenment is a supreme blessing. We create all the supreme blessings near the Sangha, associating with the Sangha. Why is that? The Sangha is Anuttarang Punyakettan Lokasa. They are the supreme field of merits for the world. That is one of the qualities of the Sangha. For that, we have to understand this message, and also we have to practice this message in the maximum level. That is very important. When we see the Buddhist history, sometimes some people came to the confidence or Saddha, saying some monks. When Venerable Sariputta was seeking truth, he met Bhante Assaji. When he saw the appearance of Bhante Assaji, Sariputta was so pleasant. And he asked Bhante, your senses are so pleasant. Your appearance is very pleasant. Who is your teacher? What do you practice? Please explain me what you practice. Then he listened to Dhamma. The appearance of the monks and their behavior is very important to many people. Their appearance and behavior is more beneficial to many people in this world, not only among human beings but even heavenly beings too. And having these qualities, especially we dedicate our life to the Dhamma. Dhamma should be learned and practiced in various ways. Sutta, Datta, Vachasa Paricita, Manasanupekita, Ditthiha Supatividda. Sutta, first we should listen to it. Datta, we should memorize it. And Vachasa Paricita, we should practice the Dhamma by words. And Manasanupekita, reflecting on it again and again. Reflecting the Dhamma. And Ditthiya Supatividda, we should cleanse our vision through listening to Dhamma. Ditthiya Supatividda. Ditti or view is divided into two. One of them is wrong view. Here view means panya or right vision, samadhi. Through listening to Dhamma and practicing Dhamma, we cleanse our path. First, we develop the Sutameya Panya by listening Dhamma. The knowledge of hearing, the wisdom of hearing, Sutameya Jnana. Then Chintameya Panya, the wisdom of reflecting or thinking. And Bhavana Panya, through concentration and insight meditation, we develop our wisdom. As the result of practicing this path, now we have a spiritual life, spiritual light, having this Dhamma, and we are ready to explain this message to the world. As monks, when we explain this message to the world, we should understand the nature of the Dhamma. Dhamma is explained in various ways according to the audience. Sometimes Buddha has explained only the heavenly path, Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Generosity, 5 precepts, and Metta Bhavana. Sometimes Buddha has directly explained the deliverance path, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, or directly wisdom. There Buddha didn't explain Dana and other things, Dana Kata, Sila Kata. Sometimes Buddha has explained both deliverance and heavenly path, such as Mangala Sutta, Vyagapaja Sutta. There we can see the deliverance path and heavenly path as well. Therefore, we should be clever to understand when we see extensive our discourse, whether this discourse explains heavenly path or deliverance path or both. That is very important. And also when a discourse explains the deliverance path, we should understand this discourse, whether this discourse explains Four Noble Truths or three truths or two truths or only one truth. That is also very important. When Buddha explains some stanzas such as Dukkhan dukkha samuppadan dukkha sacha atikkamang Aryan chattangikang maggan dukkhuva samagaminam. There we can see four truths. Dukkha samudaya nirodha magga. Sometimes Buddha explains abhinyayang abhinyatang bhavetabbancha bhavitang pahatabban pahinam me tasma buddhoti uchati. Abhinyayang abhinyatang. Abhinyaya. What is abhinyaya? Dukkha satya. Then pahatabbam pahanam. What is pahatabba? Samudaya satya. Bhavetabbancha bhavitam. What is bhavetabba? Magga satya. Here there are only three truths. No nirodha satya. But if a person understands those three things, if a person can understand one truth according to what the Buddha taught, with the understanding of the five aggregates, he is able to understand other truths too. Sometimes Buddha explains, I have to explain only two things, dukkha and dukkha nirodha, suffering and the cessation of suffering. There Buddha explains only two truths. Sometimes Buddha explains the path, sile patittahaya naro sapanyo chittang panyancha bhavayam. Practicing sila samadhi panya. There Buddha explains only one truth, which is magga satya. This is the place where we should be clever, where we should be wise and skillful when we read or listening to a sermon. If we have this understanding, we are qualified, we are educated, we are competent, we have self-confidence, we are visarada, we have no fear. We can face the world with this understanding. While we are practicing, we can help the world with the Dhamma. And here, sampajanya also very important. Sampajanya means clear comprehension. Sampajanya is divided into four. Sata sampajanya, sappaya sampajanya, gochara sampajanya, and asammoha sampajanya. Sata sampajanya. When we do something physically, verbally or mentally, we should understand whether it is meaningful. Clear comprehension of purpose. And also when we do something, we should understand whether it is suitable. Sappaya sampajanya, clear comprehension of suitability. And also gochara sampajanya, we should understand the field, clear comprehension of domain. And also asammoha sampajanya, when we do something through our three doors, Kaya, Vachi, Mano. Kaya means body, Vachi means speech, Mano means mind. When we do something through these three doors, we should understand whether my activity is wise or ignorant. That is said in Buddhism, clear comprehension of non-delusion.
But there was the fourth one?
Asammoha sampajanya. Sampajanya or clear comprehension is divided into four. The very first one is Sata sampajanya, the purpose. Second one is Sappaya sampajanya, suitability. Gochara sampajanya, domain. And Asammoha sampajanya, non-delusion. Here, Gochara and Asammoha are very important. Gochara, what is the Gochara? What is the field? Buddha tells that Sake bhikkhave gochare pettike vise charata. Or monks, mendicants, dwell in the field of your spiritual father. Live in the field of the Father. Who is our Father? Our Father is the Buddha. Buddha's field. What is the Buddha's field? Buddha's field is that mindfulness. Whenever we live according to mindfulness, whenever we live mindfully, it means we are near the Buddha. It means we are away the control of Mara. Whenever we are mindful, we have freedom, emancipation, we control our life. Whenever we are out of mindfulness, it means we are controlled by the Mara or devil or the outside material world. Always we should consider that whether I am living in mindfulness or not. This is the place where we should be wise and clever, skillful. Always we should reflect on it again and again whether at this moment my mind is fixed in the outside material world or my mind depends on my understanding. When we think something, if our mind goes to the material world, if we don't know the reality that already the material world, the very first experience of form has ceased, it means we are ignorant, we are controlled by the outside world. Buddha explains very clearly, he who lives in mindfulness can see the Mara. Mara is unable to see him. He who lives without mindfulness, Mara can see him. He is unable to see Mara. That is very important. If a person lives mindfully, he can see the Mara. Mara is unable to see him. If a person lives without mindfulness, he is unable to see the Mara. Mara can see him and Mara can control him. That is a very important advice given by the Buddha. Okay, as monks,
Where it is come from?
it comes in Satipatthana Sangyutta, in Sangyutta Nikaya, Sakunaggi Sutta. Sakunaggi Sutta further explains Sake Gochare Pettike Vise Charata. Buddha advises us to live in the field of the Buddha, which is mindfulness. As a monk, this is our refuge, our protection. What is mindfulness? Making this refuge, having this understanding, we should do a great service to the world. Buddha advises us to go from village to village preaching this Dhamma, which is excellent in the beginning, excellent in the middle, excellent in the end. චරත භික්ඛවේ චාරිකං බහුජන හිතාය බහුජන සුඛාය අත්ථාය හිතාය සුඛාය දේව මනුස්සානං දේශේත භික්ඛවේ ධම්මං ආදි කල්යාණං මජ්ජේ කල්යාණං පරියෝසානේ කල්යාණං සාත්තං සව්‍යංජනං කේවල පරිපූර්ණං බ්‍රහ්මචර්යං පකාසේත. Buddha always encouraged us to develop our skills. Our main skill is that mindfulness and ayatana kusalata, the skillfulness in senses, eye, ear, nose, so on. How are we skillful in senses? These senses arise senses at the moment. Every moment we create the senses according to our present mental condition. According to our present mental condition, we create the senses at the moment. According to our senses, we decide what we experience in the outside world. We usually think that I experience something according to something which is in the outside world. Actually, that is not the truth. The truth is that we experience something outside the world according to our senses. Our senses decide what we experience. Our senses depends on our present mental situation. Our present mental situation decides the nature of our senses. In the outside world, we can see only 4 fundamental elements. We experience those 4 material worlds according to our senses. With this understanding, day by day, we go forward on this path. As the result of this path, we are confident in our knowledge and practice, and we can do a great service to the world. When we do some service to the world, we should know the skills that we should have. According to psychology, they explain in the present world emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. As Daniel Goleman explained, if a person has a successful personality, he should have 5 qualities. What they are? Self-awareness, self-regulation, inner motivation, empathy, and social skills. Inner motivation. Inner motivation is explained in Buddhism as energy or sammavayama. Self-awareness is explained in Buddhism as mindfulness. Self-regulation is explained in Buddhism as sila or virtue, discipline in our speech and behavior. Empathy is explained in Buddhism as samma sankappa, or loving kindness thoughts, or the 4 sublime states, Satara Brahma Viharana. And social skills, communication skills. We should be gently spoken, suvacha. These qualities should be developed by us if we want to develop our skills to the maximum level. Self-awareness, self-regulation, inner motivation, empathy, and social skills. These qualities help us to go forward on this path, and they help us to spread Dhamma to the world. And finally, we make a refuge within us. While we are practicing Dhamma, while we are spreading Dhamma, we have to explain this message with a kind heart, and we should be a good friend to everyone. Good friendship is always appreciated in Buddhism. Good friendship is very, very important. According to Bhikkhu Mitta Sutta, which comes in Anguttara Nikaya, we should be a good friend to everyone. Buddha explains here the good qualities of a monk, Bhikkhu Mitta, the friend of bhikkhus, or as a good friend, as a monk, how we make our skills in the friendship. There we can see 7 qualities. There is a stanza there, Piyocha garu bhavaniyo, vattacha vachanakkamo, gambhirancha katankattaha, no chattane niyoje. The very first one is pure. We should be pleasant. Our behavior, our speech, and finally our thoughts should be pleasant and pure. Garu, we should be respected. As I mentioned earlier, we should give a chance to others to respect us. For that we have to discipline our speech and behavior. We should be respected. And bhavaniyo, we should be admired. And vattacha, we should be good speakers. When we speak, we should have good qualities, skills. And also vachanakkamo, we should be patient when someone criticizes us. We should be pay our attention what they say. And also gambhirancha katankatta, we should speak on deep matter. When we talk with someone, we always should tell something which is very important, valuable. Our character can be seen when we speak. Sakachaya panya veditabbo. Wisdom can be understood through our speech. Even though we behave very calmly, nicely, it is not the place where we can understand a person's wisdom. If we want to understand his wisdom, we have to discuss with him. Therefore, our speech is very important. And also, when we speak something, it should be valuable. It should be wise. It should help us to overcome our suffering. It should help us to achieve real liberation or spiritual happiness. And no chattane niyojaye, the good friend, Bhikkhu Mitta, never urge us to do bad things. Always he encourages us to go to the correct way. That is also one of the qualities of a good friend. Piyoja, pleasant, garo, respected, bhavaniyo, admired, vatta, a good speaker, vachanakkamo, he is patient to listen in others' words, and he speaks on deep matter, and no chattane niyoje, he never urges us to bad deeds, bad activities. Okay, we also should be good friends to everyone, and when we associate something, some person, actually we always seek that what I have to get from him. And also we also should think it. When someone associates me, he also looks at me. He is finding something to take from me. Therefore, our character should be an example for many people. Buddha says, especially Ekaputta Sutta, as monks, our highest examples are that Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. Our spiritual world, our heroes are Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. Seeing their characters and characteristics, we also should develop our qualities. Even though Reverend Sariputta was a great monk, he always was very humble and he always was generous and he helped many monks. He is like a mom for other monks. And also Venerable Moggallana was like the Kiriyamma. Kiridela Hadanamma was the mother. Sariputto Bhikkave Sotapatti Pale Vineti. Venerable Sariputta guides us to become Sotapanna. Moggallano Uttamatte Vineti. Venerable Moggallana advises us to become other steps of spirituality. Venerable Sariputta is like the mom who delivered the baby. And Venerable Moggallana is like the other mom. And he guides us to come to other spiritual levels such as Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahat. Buddha always encourages us to follow these great disciples, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. We should read their characters. Then we can learn a lot of qualities from their characters. Okay, having this understanding, we are going to conclude this session, the role of monks, based on Sobhenti Sutta. Bhikkhu, Bhikkhave, Vyatto, Vinito, Visarado, Bahussuto, Dhammadaro, Dhammanudhamma Patipanno, Sanghang Sobheti. If a person has these 6 qualities, he beautifies the sasana, Sangha sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha. As the result of this practice, his supreme field of merit for the world. Anuttarang Punyaketan Lokasa. Associating with him, people in the world acquire or make a lot of supreme blessings according to the Mangala Sutta. The Mangala Sutta explains the supreme blessings. Actually, we can develop these supreme blessings as the result of associating monks. Please check it. Monks mostly help us to develop these supreme blessings. We can deliver a very nice sermon based on this topic with the monks. Mangala Sutta and monks. Venerable says, we discuss this topic in short according to our time, and you are given a handout too. Following this reference and discussing, let's improve our knowledge and understanding in the Sangha. And also, when we associate Sangha, we are able to listen to Dhamma. Throughout listening to Dhamma, we understand the Patisampada. Throughout understanding whole Dhamma, we recognize who the Buddha is. The link, like a bridge, the monks do a great service. They play a very big role in this dispensation. Among the triple gem, the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, monks are the live example, live factor. We usually meet monks. Throughout associating them, we listening to Dhamma. Through listening to Dhamma, we can understand who the Buddha is. And these triple gems are alive in this world because of monks. Therefore, as monks, we have a very big role in this dispensation. For that, let's do our duty, our responsibilities in the maximum level by associating good friends and practicing Dhamma. For that, I wish you all the best. By the power of this spirituality, may all of us attain the final bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkham pantāca nirdukkhaṃ bhayam pantāca nirbhayam sokam pantāca nissokam hontu sabbe pipānino. May the Triple Gem bless you.